Hi, everyone. I'd like to reflect with you on this idea that we explore and we hear a lot about in these kinds of conversations about living your truth, uh, knowing your true purpose. What is the truth? And what I offer to you is to simply consider that the truth is not found in what we believe. The truth is not what we believe, and it's not what other people believe. The truth is, in the context of this conversation, the truth is what is known. What is known is not an intellectual event. It's not a conceptual event. What is known in consciousness, via consciousness. What is known directly, without the filters, the bias, and the spin that beliefs inject into a situation. So I often say what we're up to as we're awakening is we are going more and more and more by what we know, and less by what we believe or what others are believing and telling us that we should believe. We're going less and less by beliefs. Beliefs are at best a representation of the truth. They are ideas, concepts, images, metaphors that point to the truth, that point in the direction and invite an exploration of the truth. But often beliefs are held up as something that becomes static, calcified, old. At one time, perhaps a helpful pointer, but now no longer. So to go by beliefs, go by what we believe, what other people believe, is a way of becoming trapped, imprisoned inside a static, unevolving world. Reality, a reality created by what is old and stale. Going by knowing is a way of experiencing what's arising in a very immediate, alive way, to be enlivened by what is known, what is fresh, what is evolving now, what is so now. Knowing allows us to be right on the edge of what's happening and evolving and bursting into life. We can know that crest of the wave that sparkles and foams when we go by knowing. Knowing alone, a moment of knowing something, is where, via this beautiful gift of consciousness that we are, there is a recognition of the moment that is a intricately intelligent, magnificent coherency experienced via consciousness, the coherency of all the dimensions of our being. And to simplify all the dimensions of being into just a few, this includes what is true on the biological level, what is true on the emotional level, what is true on the mental level, what is true on the spiritual level, what is true on the energetic level, of which all of those levels are, all levels are energetic in nature. When there is a coherency, when all the levels of our being are in sync, and that in syncness becomes revealed in consciousness, and only consciousness can know that level of coherency, then there is a tremendous fortifying, nourishing, nurturing, strengthening, resilient life force experienced. And we might hold up some sages, modern day, contemporary, or in history, who stood so firmly for expressing and upholding the truth and were willing to die for that truth. So enlivened with their knowing. Because essentially, of course, what we know is always rooted in simultaneously knowing whatever we know about a situation in the play of life. At the same time, that knowing simultaneously roots us in knowing that what we are doesn't die. What we are is eternal. And when we are navigating from that deep knowing of our essential nature, there is a certain fearlessness, if you like, that begins to enter into our daily living. A fearlessness that is not reckless, that is always an expression of our eternal nature, but is unattached to trying to defend, maintain, reinforce any belief. The truth, it never needs any defense. But the truth is something that, when it is known, that truth is expressed as a standing for truth, a willingness to stand for the truth. Even if that standing for truth appears in the play of the world as uncompromising, it really is the highest form of love, expressing to stand for nothing but the truth. So knowing the truth, knowing requires this cultivation of becoming consciously attuned to what is true at the biological level, what is true at the psychological level, what is true at the emotional level. And the instrument, like I said earlier, the gift that allows that attunement and clarity and discernment of the rightness, to use that word, of what's going on at the biological level, and the rightness of how experience is flowing through the emotional level, and the rightness of what is feeding back through the psychological dimension, the rightness of all of that, the coherency of all of that. Consciousness is what can know that coherency, can sense it. So to go by knowing is to go by a felt sense. Often that's described as going by our gut. But it's really much more than going by some kind of tuning into your small intestines. It's a lot more dimensional and sophisticated. And it is going by what consciousness knows. Consciousness is the meter, if you like, that can calibrate and determine the level of coherency within the being. And it's 100% reliable. When we know something, it is to be trusted. When we rest more and more in going by knowing, not only do we rest in an understanding of what we are as eternal, but what we are doesn't die. We rest in a feeling. We rest in the knowing, which can be a knowing without a feeling dimension, but we rest in knowing, sensing that all is well. All is well. In every single moment, all is well. So especially in times where in the culture there are so many different beliefs, so many different instructions and advice and instructions to do this or do that based on beliefs. It really is a great opportunity. It is the opportunity to inquire, to get curious about what you know to be the truth about a situation unfolding, what you know to be the truth about a course of action to take, what you know will lead to a discernment of actions that reflect your deep understanding that all is well. Your actions will reflect that knowing all is well and will support in the play of the world all is wellness happening. Actions supported from knowing are actions from wisdom. So there's a richness with this exploration, go by knowing, and it's such a fruitful exploration that never fails to bring a beautiful harvest. See you next time.